Good afternoon.
Hello and welcome to
Black Hill Street, a massive...
So, this is the second one of the vlogs we've done with Sam. Hopefully the second of more regular vlogs, that's the way to put it. This week's been a lot of mixing and a lot of maintenance. Mm-hmm. Well, week and a bit since the last vlog, I think. So I've been mixing Circus of 5, Meccano, the edit, the Vixens. It's been a hectic time, and then we've done quite a bit of maintenance and upgrades. The theme of this vlog is going to be the changes that have happened since video. We had a promo video shot in January by South Point Films, and it's a great video, but the room has changed a lot, the gear's changed a lot, and a lot of the stuff in here has changed quite a bit. Seeing we were talking about mixing, stuff that we've got to help with mixing and improve our mixing. We've got some new plugins, so we bought some of the Abbey Road stuff from Waves, which is great. They've just launched a new mastering console, which I'm having a lot of fun with, but it's a CPU hog. We've just upgraded our CPU as well, so we can run more plugins, because our theory has always been to have a great front end, so good amplifiers, good preamps, nice mics, and then do all the processing inside the computer, which gives us a lot more flexibility to change stuff later on. If we take the mix in a different direction or stylistically everything changes, some point down the path of making an album or EP, we can. So having a really powerful CPU is quite important for the amount of plugins that we end up using. Now our Mac Pro is the most maxed out a 2013 Mac Pro bin it can be. I think it's 64 gigs of RAM and 12 cores of CPU power, so
it's a monster.
It's quite ridiculous. We got the new Fab Filter limiter as a plugin recently as well, it's good because it just measures your LU units, which is really important when you're trying to master the right level for Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and things. Because if we don't give you the right volume of your track, those services try to fix it on our behalf, and usually how they fix it tends to make things sound a lot worse.
Yeah.
It sounds odd, but when you get into a car, you shouldn't have to change the volume between songs. So it's our job to make sure it's at the right volume at the end of mastering. Well, we got the Soft-Tube Console 1, which is behind me because I'm a bit of an SSL whore. At university, I learned to mix on SSL. I knew how to mix beforehand, but I spent a lot of time in that room mixing on that SSL and really fell in love with it. And from that point on, it's always been my desk of choice if I've got a chance to go mix on one, and then has been my plugins of choice because there's always been emulations of them. You want to be able to turn a dial and it do exactly what you expect it to, and that's what I get from SSL plugins. I know exactly what that EQ is going to do when I turn a certain knob, and the same with the compressor. I know its tricks, I know how to get the most out of it, so it's useful for me. And this controller is a hardware controller for an SSL channel strip effectively, so it links into the software, but it's quicker and easier for me. If I go, I need to change something on the kick drum, I don't have to move around my mouse and click anywhere. I just hit number 1 up here if my kick drum's channel 1, and then I've got all the controls for the kick drum already laid out in front of me, so it's mega fast. It makes me a lot happier mixing. I enjoy it quite a lot. That plus the control surface I've already got means I have to spend less time on a mouse and keyboard, and also less time staring at Logic because it fires up the meters that would be on an SSL desk, which I think is better. It's less visual mixing.
Yes, we got a new shortcut keyboard, which is just behind us here. So it's got all the shortcuts that Tom uses and learned with.
They're kind of an amalgamation of Logic and Pro Tools shortcuts, and someone designed that keyboard to do that. And when I switched from Pro Tools to Logic in the certain studio I worked at for a long time, that was the keyboard they had and the way that I learnt those shortcuts. And I think they're probably much quicker for editing and stuff if you're doing the old style way of editing in Logic. I knew them so well that I was happy with any kind of keyboard, so I had black ones because visually I thought it looked nicer. But for Sam here, it would be pretty impossible to learn these crazy shortcuts coming from normal Logic without them written on the keyboard. So I'm sure that's going to help you quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the changes that are maybe less apparent in the photos. We've now got SonarWorks, which is effectively room correction software, and it comes with this microphone. I saw Mark Hill posted about it on Instagram, and I've worked with him a lot in the past, and he's the least gear obsessed person I've probably worked with in the studio industry, so for him to rave about a piece of software or hardware, I knew it probably had to be quite impressive or good. We got the demo piece of software down and tried it out with some headphones, and then ordered it, and it's incredible what it can do, so I'm quite happy we've got that. What it effectively does, we've done this 3 times last time. Yeah, sorry. SonarWorks is a great bit of software linked in with that microphone, and what it does is it measures the room in a load of different positions around where I listen when I'm mixing. It creates an image of what the room and the speakers sound like, so it knows what flat is, It knows what curve through test tones and stuff that it pumps out, and multiple positions listening. So it knows what curve the room has and what effect the speakers in the room is having on the sound I'm hearing, and it applies a phase reversed version of that signal to everything I listen to. So it's like an opposite EQ trying to resolve every issue with the room, so what you're listening to is perfectly flat. But since we've started using it, it's been great for translation. So what that means is what I hear here is what you hear wherever you are or in your car. You know, I'm pretty confident that what comes out of here is the best it could be sound wise, and then when you listen in any environment, that's the sound of that environment being added to that. So you don't want to have the sound of my room and my speakers affecting what you listen to anywhere else. Since we've had it, the amount of tweaks we've got back have not been for anything tonal or hugely different, or since we've started using it. So it gives me a hell of a lot more confidence when I'm mixing, because before I roughly knew what was going on with the room and the speakers and made judgments because I knew what was going on, and because I knew how things should sound. But now all I have to do is try and make it sound the best it could, because I know it's pumping out something that's flat. I've enjoyed that quite a bit. So we took some screen grabs from the video that Rowan did for us in January and took my camera and tried to emulate those shots a little bit. They're not perfect, we don't have the same lenses, we don't have the same camera, etc., and the lighting is massively different, but these are our comparison shots. We'll probably put them up on the screen for you in some way, either side of us or somewhere. So this is the first one. So in this first set of pictures, you can see these acoustic panels that Sam was talking about. They are on the back wall, but they are on the front wall as well. They're just not in that shot, but they're all around. They're kind of burgundy, purpley colour that people will argue with me over colour blindness or something. And grey around the walls, and they're just deadening the room down a little bit, so it's not lively, so when you clap you don't get weird echoes and stuff. That's made quite a big factor in deadening down the room to start with, and then the Sonar Works on top of it has just helped flatten it completely for what we're hearing out of the speakers. Then the big obvious difference is the new sofa. So we got a comfier, bigger sofa, which is kind of like one you would sit on in Metrics if you're from Southampton, or a comfy coffee shop if you're not from Southampton, or Coffee Lab. And then
got your pride and joy new PRS guitar.
Yeah, so got a new PRS guitar which I purchased for myself, and for the studio, because PRS has kind of emerged as like the third big guitar brand after Gibson and Fender. Maybe controversial me saying that, but a lot of Nashville musicians use them, and it's got its own sound, you know. So in a studio you want to be able to cover bases, and we've got a couple of Gibsons, a couple of Fender guitars, and you know, we didn't have any PRSs. Most of my childhood heroes played PRSs, so it made sense both for me and for the studio to get one, so we could cover that sound. It's one of those ones that an engineer can hear when it's that guitar, and when you're trying to mix something and make it sound authentic, you need to have the right type of guitar in there. You know, you don't use Fenders for certain things, and you don't use Gibsons for certain things, and PRSs are a new thing that you need to put in the right pocket. There's the hue lighting, so we've purchased a lot more coloured light bulbs in the studio. These ones are app controlled, so we can do all sorts of stuff with our phones. Sam's new in the photos.
Yep.
It's not the Lost or Stolen Boys, so Stu and Morgan aren't in it.
The synths on the right.
Yeah, the synths on the right changed, so they're not new, but we've rearranged them so the ones that I use more are closer to me. So we've got the Roland synth, strings, organ, vintage 80s thing, and the SH101 above it, and the old mini Korg that was there has moved back. It's a bit more of a collector's piece. It's not one that I use all that much. Yeah, apart from that, I don't think there's much in those we haven't covered. So let's switch to the next set of photos. In this comparison shot, first thing I notice is I'm going more bold. We rearranged things a little bit. In the racks, they've slightly changed where they are, because we've got this new power conditioner in here, which has been quite a recent purchase and quite a ridiculous purchase. It's not your standard power conditioner that most studios around here have. Most of the ones you see in studios, which have got the on-off switch, are effectively those surge protected strips that you get when you take them apart electrically. They're identical, apart from the fact that they've got IC sockets on them on the back, not mains sockets, and they have a little red Xeon switch on the front of them, and they're in a metal chassis. So your £100 for those kind of units is going on that metal box with the switch and the sockets on the back of it, and not on anything that's really helping with the power situation in the studio, other than surge protecting your gear, which is important. This unit is the kind of unit that most London studios have, which is surge protecting, but also it's reforming the mains voltage coming into here. So at the moment, the voltage into the building is 245 volts, but over the last few weeks that we've had that, it varies, it goes up and down. There's a lift in the building, there's photocopiers, there's fluorescent light bulbs in other rooms in this building, and they aren't good for sound power. There's also transformers that people have bits and pieces of gear and wall warts and stuff that's terrible for audio power. Guitarists know this because they get isolated pedal board power supplies and they spend 300 or 400 quid on those. This unit, because it's dealing with mains, is a bit more expensive. It's a lot, but it isolates every single socket on the back of it, so anything that causes noise can be isolated from something else, and it's given us sound power effectively. People who've worked in venues and stuff will know this, that you have sockets where things for sound should be plugged in, and there's stuff for lights and pyro and stuff like that. You want a completely separate power so you don't get humming and buzzing or any weird sounds or interference. So now the studio has really, really clean sound power with no harmonics on it. It's creating its own 240 volts pure sine wave, so all the gear should run happier, it should clock better, it should all sync together.
The noise floor's gone down.
Yeah.
A lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, you can turn the speakers on, and before there would be a little bit of background hiss. Now you wouldn't know the speakers are on or off. It's crazy. The morning after we installed it and turned everything on, you just looked at me like, is it on?
Jesus.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. You can have it on full, not playing sound through, and there won't be any hiss. So it's impressive. And it does the same thing with the microphones. So, and anything we record, there's no hiss in the background of stuff anymore at all, which is crazy. And not many studios have that, but I think it's important when we're doing so much in the box of plugins and not adding character to stuff that we should get the cleanest sound possible for stems and things. What else is in there?
It's rearrangement of the storage units.
Yeah, quite. We rearranged
but
the cabinets to the side of me, so I've got a bit more access to a few more things. And we've massively rearranged over there, which we might put a cut shot in of. But the vinyls are out and the books are out, and that area is a lot more organised or efficiently using space, so things don't seem as cluttered over there anymore, or we can fit a bit more in this space.
I've also got the vinyl player just out of shot down here.
Yeah,
so more accessible.
Yeah, it's nice when we're doing stuff to have vinyls on. We're still running our vinyl offer and things, so it's useful for us to check stuff when it comes in.
So we've got the new orange OR15 amp, which is sat just behind Tom. It's a single channel amplifier. It's got two different power settings.
Yeah, 7
and 15 watt.
Our Agnator can cover most things, but it can't really cover that vintage orange sound. Those vintage picks only oranges are kind of synonymous with Oasis, Britpop, kind of, it's got that stadium rock. When you plug a Fender in, it sounds like classic Bryan Adams. When you plug a Gibson in, it sounds more massive, Oasis-y, stadium rocky. But it's got this high-end bite that you can't really get out of most things without running a pedal in front of it, and even then it's got its own unique sound, and I really like it. And I grew up liking that kind of sound. Neil from the Ranch was selling it. I went, yes. It ended up here same day. I like it a lot, and I also am a big fan of low-powered amplifiers in studios like this, because all the classic records that I like from the 60s, 70s, even from the 80s, those were 100-watt amplifiers being absolutely ragged. Everything prior was definitely loud amplifiers being ragged, because that's what they used to playing live, because the PAs weren't good enough. So all those classic Who, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin tones were like 100-watt Marshalls absolutely pinned. Same with AC/DC and stuff. They are amplifiers absolutely on the ragged edge, and to do that, most people are using like these sag boxes that bring the volume down between the speaker and the amp. They affect the tone unless you buy a really high-end one, so I just don't see the point in having to do that, buy a massively overpowered amplifier, then have to buy a box that's affecting the tone, or is again massively expensive, when you could just buy one that is lower wattage to start with and always be driving it in a studio situation. Like, it's maybe not the best to go out and gig with live, because maybe you want that headroom over a drummer, but in the studio these things are always pumping out great tones because you've always got them at the right level to be driving them. So it seems nuts to me to have high-powered amplifiers in the studio anymore now that these exist, because they've only started existing in the last 10-15 years. They weren't around back then.
We've got photo number 3. Kind of got a better shot of the orange amp in that one.
Yeah, so you can see a bit more of the orange amp. You can see the power supply unit. You can see the editing keyboard for Sam in the shot. You can see the soft tube console 1 Mark II that we've got as well on the side. In the old shot, you had the Akai controller, which is over with Sam
stolen.
at the moment. over there. And then we've also moved it around, so my Arturia Keylab controller, the metal and wooden one, is down here, so it's much easier for me to play a little idea or something in. It's a bit bigger, whereas before it was off to the side, out of shot. And the big knob, so that our Mackie volume controller, it's got a big knob, that's moved a little bit further away next to the vinyl player. And the reason for that is ergonomically, the stuff that I need to be touching and working with all the time needs to be closer to me. The volume controller shouldn't actually get used all that much. It should be set at a certain level, and then you should work at that volume, knowing what volume you're at. And if it's closer to me, I'll be tempted to touch it, move it, which isn't good when you're mixing or mastering. You want to have it set at a certain volume and work to that volume. So my shuttle control's also over next to me, which is much like the keyboard shortcuts that I use quite a lot, and my mouse I use a lot of shortcuts on all the time. It's just about working fast and trying to get as much done as I can in the time for people. This shuttle controller has programmable key commands on it as well, and allows me to navigate through projects easily. I think that's it in those shots that we took. Okay, so then apart from that, stuff that's changed since then that we can think about. The stool that Sam is sitting on is new. Not that you can see it in shot, Sam is sat on it, but there you go, it's nice. New stool for people to sit on. The old ones were getting a bit tattier. It's effectively the same, it's just a new top on them. My chair's new, so...
Your turn.
Yeah, I'm not going to dive, but yeah, this is a crazy Haag chair, which is the same make that designed all the chairs on Star Trek The Next Generation, but everyone back in the 90s thought it was going to be the future of ergonomics. It's really comfy to sit on it. The Jag bass, that's here now. So
yeah, so we've got a short scale Jag bass. So as well as a PRS, that's our kind of second guitar, isn't it? That's changed since the photos and the video. Yeah. It's a short scale bass. It's easier to play, smaller frets. It's a PJ bass.
Yes.
So it's kind of a mix between the precision bass and the jazz bass in terms
with
of its pickups. No, it's just really, really nice to play. It's very easy. Yeah, so it sounds very nice as well.
Our old vintage bass is neither here nor there in vibes, so you don't go that it's a P bass sound, it's a jazz bass sound. It doesn't sound like a Rickenbacker, it doesn't sound like anything because it's such a weird, unusual bass. It sits really well in a mix, so I love it dearly. I use it most of the time, but sometimes you need that P bass sound for rock or certain kind of Motown-y things, and then the jazz bass for funk and stuff like that. So this pickups wise is covering both. It's really easy to play for guitarists. Most bass players that come in with bands bring their own basses, and they're not the type of people that go, ooh, can I use your bass? You know, it's strange. Guitarists come in and they want to use our gear, they want to play around with new toys, whereas bass players are quite, this is my bass, I'm going to use my bass. These basses generally end up getting used by us more than anything. They're for us to get tonal stuff or have something different. So this being easier to play for guitarists with short scale is also quite useful, I guess, for creative ideas and things. Yeah. Apart from that, I don't think much else has changed. There's quite a lot has changed.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd let you know. So I think with the next vlog, we'll try and keep it quite regular. Sam's going to try and do a few more blog posts. I will also try. My laptop's dead at the moment, so I'm looking for a replacement for that and debating what to get. And then I should be able to type stuff from home a bit easier and do a bit more photo editing for the website and stuff, which will be nice. More content shall be coming. And I think with the next vlog we might try and do something a bit more generally useful, like questions to ask before you book a studio session, or what to ask before you go into a studio or something. One of those 10 things number 5 will shock you type things.
Massive clickbait title.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I just generally think that people sometimes aren't always asking the right questions or knowing what they should really be asking, and people should be trying to get the best results they can out of stuff. So if we can offer some advice, probably should. We're still running a vinyl production offer, so you come in and book a full day session, your 7-inch single will be cut to vinyl, which is a quite nice, cool thing. You also get a half price singing lesson with any full day bookings as well, so there's a bit of a package forming there maybe. But yeah, like and subscribe, share, whatever platform you're watching this on. This has been me, Tom, and
me, Sam.
Yeah, bye.